Yay. Here we are on the Shamans Tea. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Starr and so happy to be here on the Shamans Tea. Hello, my love Mia. How are you? What's on your heart today? Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Starr, for having tea with me. I'm Mia, and I do healing work too. And I was enjoying working outside in the garden when Spirit called.
Get your butt inside. It's time for the Shamans Tea. Oh my goodness. How's
Life
your
is
garden
good.
growing? You're planting new seeds. It's such a beautiful time when we start thinking about, it's so not only fantastic for, our sustainability in planting the new seeds, but I always like to think of it as a metaphoric time as we start planting the new seeds of our beginnings, of new beginnings, and how we're going to be in this world, rebirthing, and truly it feels like a time of rebirth. You guys are feeling that, right? The shifts and the changes that are happening, and the awakening, mass awakening. Whoa, beautiful.
Mm, mm. Yes, so the I have not planted anything yet because it's a bit early. We're going to have a few more frosts probably before May. So
Mm,
anything I would put in the ground right now would still be very, very, very tender. But
gotcha.
for some reason, this is my least favorite time of the year. Everything is kind of this very pale color. There's no greens yet on the trees. The temperatures are so mild and these very calm little breezes, and it's almost like it's not summer, it's not winter, it's not even fully spring yet, and it's like this, like a piece of paper that there's nothing written on it yet, and
That's
it's
the
like this,
exciting part, right?
and yet it is not exciting to me. It's like,
Oh, patience, my love, patience. Spring teaches us patience, right?
that's correct. I think, to me, I've been waiting for that moment when the first hummingbirds show up at the feeder, and that's usually April 4th, April 7th, and that's when I come alive. When I feel like, okay, we've arrived. It just, but right now it feels like we're sort of in between. I'm floating. I'm not quite on the ground yet, and there's so many options that I can put in the garden. Um,
You
anyway.
know what it feels like in this shift, in this great awakening right now, is that we are sort of in this cauldron, right? We are in the womb, so to speak, and really like creating, like who are we going to be in this new
Mhm.
paradigm as we are awakening. And sometimes I'm going to be honest that when I hear people and I see it on Facebook, wake up, it's time to wake up. I actually get annoyed with that, I don't know why. It's like, because I think why I do is like we're not respecting where people are on their journey. And I
Mhm.
feel like that is something that, you know, as as a facilitator, as a person that helps guide people through this process, I feel like it's so important that we honor where everybody is
Mhm.
in their process of this grand awakening. But I do feel like that we are in this cauldron or in this womb awaiting for this grand birth that is getting ready to happen.
Mhm.
How are you going to be in this new paradigm? What choices are you going to make in your life?
So what comes to mind is
Oh, I got a card
that.
deck hollering. Go ahead, talk.
Oh, say again.
I said I have a card deck hollering, so you
All
talk,
right.
I'll shuffle.
So what comes to mind is that we are kind of about to exit now this time of the lockdown, and there is definitely going to be a sadness because I think about young parents who who did not have to leave their very young infants with caretakers. You know, they didn't have to miss milestones because they could be there. They had to work from home. There was no other option. And so there are all sorts of gifts that came with um, this virus that swept our planet. And so there is a bit of a coming out there too, where we're coming out of this. And what did we get from this pandemic? What are the gifts that we don't want to leave behind and just say, okay, now that time is over. And so everything goes back to the way it was before.
No, don't do
I don't want,
it. No.
I did not want that. Yeah.
Where we were before, guys, was not normal.
Exactly.
Understand it. Where we were was not normal. We had to go into that. And here's the card that first came out, solitude,
Yeah.
right? We had to go into that place of solitude. We have to go back into the cauldron, back into, that. I think one of the blessings truly of the pandemic is this
Yeah.
blessings and curses, for those of, who don't have the tools. Because when we're in this place, when we're in the womb and we're in that solitude, we have to face all of our gnarly shadow pieces, all of those places that have not been healed yet.
Yeah.
We have to deal with that because in this new rebirth that we are headed to, this new awakening that everybody wants to talk about and feel and be, we're creating a new paradigm. What's
Mm-hmm.
it look like? And so we
Mm-hmm.
have to deal with our own stuff. We have to go inward. Got to feel inside. I like to think of it, as going to the place in the back of your heart
Yeah.
where you've stored all that trauma, all those hurt feelings, all that childhood stuff, all of those things that are unresolved, and really come home to yourself. And I think that the pandemic and all of this has been very much this place. And it's interesting because home comes up right after that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm not thinking home as in the structural house that you live in. I'm thinking about home to what is important to you,
Exactly.
home to staying focused to what is your priority,
Yeah.
as not what you thought your priority would be, as in career, the money game, stepping ahead to get ahead, all of those things. No, that is kind of shifting and changing, right? We're finding that home is really about how you want to be in this world. Home is how do you want to feel in your heart? What is your life purpose? It's not about what you do as a career. Your life purpose is maybe, I know for me, part of that has been embodying joy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My life purpose, incarnating in this time and this place. How do I embody joy? How do I carry joy? How do I become a beam of love? How do I carry compassion forward? Maybe some of those things are for you guys too.
Yeah.
Your life purpose isn't, going out and grinding to make to get on the treadmill to make the dough so that you can make your house payment and all that other stuff. That's a side product and it all aligns and perfect if that's what it's supposed to be. But your life purpose is really something way much deeper and you have to come home to find out what that is. And my next card here is strength. It's going to take strength. It's going to take courage. Look at her just really holding up the whole world and moving it forward. I'm going to have to practice that pose.
Oh, yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay.
I
Yeah.
feel like that strength to go inward, the strength to survive the solitude and know that, you're going to be great on the outside of that, right? It's going to take strength because it's a matter of responsibility, responsible to yourself, to really raise your frequencies, get out of the sit and spin, get out of the funky funk, get out of the old hurts and blames and victim and all that other stuff that is like, leave back here. Yeah, in the back of your heart, pull it
Yeah.
up. It's going to take strength and courage to do that.
Yeah.
We have that. You have that. We all have that strength and courage to be responsible. Stop blaming everybody and everything for the way that your life is maybe not going to what your expectation is. Move the expectation out, surrender to being. And the last card here on this roll is coming together. Come together right now.
There's
Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm.
there's that community sisterhood card again.
I love it. I see it as community, but I also see it as the lovers. And I see even like the lovers and the stork coming up, bringing new blessings, right?
Yeah.
So for those of you who are coming together in romantic relationships, yeah, it's coming. Don't don't lose your strength and your courage to do this deeper work so that you can come together not only in your sisterhood but as lovers, come together in your family relation, all relations with the planet, all relations coming together in this beautiful way. So I really feel like this is the story of this cauldron, right? That we were talking about. Yeah, we got to go into the cauldron. We've got to go in to that, that birthing space, right? The inner womb, coming home to ourselves and what's really true,
hmm
finding the courage to dig down deep
Mm.
so that you can come together. Woo! Right off the
Beautiful.
bat, you guys. How about that?
So this is the card that was at the top of my deck.
Ooh. Okay, so what does it say? Because it's mirrored in my thing. So you
All
have
right. So inner life, your inner life is a garden to be cultivated. And so we were talking about that
what are you cultivating? And that's what, goes back to, you saying, oh, I've been in my garden and working. And it's like, it's so metaphoric. What are you
yeah.
cultivating? What are you feeding? What are you nourishing? What needs to be weeded out? What are some of the old things that you need to weed out of your garden, thinking that you are the garden? Your life is the garden. What are we growing?
Look at this one. Circles. Clarity begins in the eye of the storm. Look at that.
Ooh. Okay, show of hands. I want to hear from you guys. How many feel like you are in the eye of the storm right now? It's like this unnerving calm, almost like we got to be patient as we're sitting in that cauldron or we're in the eye of the storm. Everything, the chaos is still kind of swirling all around us on all levels
Yeah.
around the world.
But
That's
we also
metaphorically
we
coming
have
together.
also built our communities in this very interesting way during this pandemic. We have strengthened relationships that wasn't exactly strong in the past. Lots and lots of relationships have completely fallen by the wayside. It was just like they just disappeared because they've shifted. They were not necessary anymore. And whether it's a YouTube community or people being in your neighborhood who suddenly like checking on each other, we have created new community. And it really just feels like there's so much strength to pull on here and to keep that strong and support each other really supporting each other, whether it's, I'm thinking old age homes where people are lonely. I'm just seeing that elderly person sitting on that horse. I don't know if you can
Mm,
see that. It's just such a beautiful card.
my goodness, I love this horse, and the horse is so symbolic, right?
That's
As
right.
far as, when we think about animal spirit guides, get on, have ask for some help, that horse is going to carry you. Where do you need to be carried? And you are so correct. Like, I have experienced in my own world, man, the bonding of community during this last year, the bonding of these gatherings that I've been offering, and it took me a while to come back in when it's been a year, right, since we started this.
Yeah.
So seeing how these communities are saying yes and coming together and bonding so deeply.
Hmm.
This has been like an incredible experience of the bond.
Yeah.
And you're right. There's been a lot of people that have been in deep, deep heart sorrow because they've seen friends just drop away, and they've seen how, like, oh, yeah, you're not in my inner circle because, whatever, like, blessings, blessings,
Exactly.
blessings, blessings,
Yeah,
and
we
it,
don't even have to have a story to it. Just,
yeah, just let it go and say,
yeah.
yes, okay, yes, please, and thank you, more like that. You need to go. I
All
understand.
right, so
I
here's
see
my
your heart.
third card.
Okay.
Inner integration. There is peace, equilibrium, and fulfillment in integrating the inner world with the taming and tempering effect life has on us.
Wow, do it again, read it again.
There is peace, equilibrium, and fulfillment in integrating the inner world with the taming and tempering effect that life has on us.
Integration.
So it's I see these cogs, like almost looks like cogs inside a clock.
The wheels.
Yeah, and that's the other thing where this pandemic has kind of shown us how we are stuck in this system, how the system has kind of turned us into little automatons, and the freedom that came with it, and now finding new ways, finding how everything is reinvented here. um yeah, and when I say that this pandemic has been really, really hard on many people, and but also remembering the incredible gifts that this brought us.
Oh,
And the last one,
she's beautiful. What does it say?
it says spirit self, be who you are as you are. So we've done that solitude part, and this is the outcome.
I want to go back to a second to the integration part
Yeah.
and how all those wheels, they keep turning and they're turning inside. And I keep thinking about our chakra system and how we have this, for many of you, you've received the fifth dimension downloads, right? Or the fifth dimension keys and codes, right? And our chakra system is spinning like these cogs, and it's important to constantly be bringing that energy in to this 3D, to this meat suit, right? And integrating these higher frequencies, or these um, fifth dimension, consciousness, which is that of that gratitude, and that of generosity and pure bliss love, and becoming that beam of love, becoming that beam of joy. This is this consciousness that we are integrating and bringing in this cauldron and through these wheels and through this chakra system, that we have to integrate it into this place. We are creating heaven on earth.
Amen.
This is the grand awakening. This is what we've been training for. I was just having this conversation this morning with a friend of mine. This is what I feel like I know I've been training for. I've been working in wellness and walking this amazing shaman's path for, 20 some years. And I feel like this right here, right now, is why I've been walking this path, to integrate it, to create the heaven on earth, not only for myself, but for you, for humanity, for the Pachamama, for all of it. It's like you too, if you're listening in here, you too have incarnated at this time, at this place, to be that warrior of love and light and to create this heaven on earth. So to me, the integration is very much that. It's not like we're going to escape and we're all going to be beamed up, and go someplace else, No, that's not what's going to happen. It's up to us. It's up to you. It's up to me. It's up to you, all of us, to do this work in integrating and bringing it here. How are we going to be leaders in this new way? How are we going to be supportive in community? How are we going to ground all of this in to make significant changes in our paradigm, in our social justice, in the way that we do things, the way that we are sustainable on this planet? Woo! Going in hard. You feel it? I mean, like, this is like,
Also, but would you talk again about when we talked about before about how Mother Earth, how when we do this work in ourselves, how we do that work for Mother Earth?
we do. And so I was sharing with Mia a little bit about a journey that I had. And we were talking a little bit about past lives. and and I had this journey that took me right back to my Egyptian life. And in that time frame, I mean, like, I guys, you have to understand, like, I've been working this Egyptian life piece for a really, really long time, and understanding, and little bits and pieces over time have come in, and I go, oh, there it is. Okay, I can heal that part. And then I had this journey where I had actually pulled from the Isis deck just before I was in the jungle working with the Shipibo, working with my mentor, Enrique. Shout out to Enrique Lopez. Love you, bro. Mwah. Anyway, working with him, going into a journey. And then I was doing apprenticeship there. And so it had been a lot of journeys. But I pulled a card out of this deck just before going in to this journey. And it was about the victim. Time to be done with the victim. I'm like, damn, I don't feel like I have much more work to do around the victim
Yeah.
role. I mean, I've really worked it a lot, but okay, I was super excited about it. Yeah, show me where I'm playing victim in my life. Let me clear that, go to the place in the back of my heart, clear it out. And in that journey, what I saw was, that was the lifetime where I actually committed suicide, blah, 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 story, clear, cancel, clear, delete, all of that. Whoop. But what came up and what I was sharing with Mia earlier is how in that lifetime was where the original victim started. And that from that lifetime on, how I had been projecting my victimhood onto the planet. Oh, poor Pachamama. Oh, look at what us humans are doing. Blah, 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 and like, oh my God, we're terrible. All of this, right? Projection, projection, projection. And she came in, Mama Earth, Gaia came in strong on that journey. And she was like wagging her little finger at me and like, you need to stop projecting your own victimhood onto me. Like, I am a process of evolution, and so are you. And as you imbibe these medicines and as you change yourself, then I have the opportunity to change because I am one with you. You are one with me, and the place where we are one. As you do your work, I too also serve survive, but also thrive and evolve.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
as we are evolving in our personal work, so is the Pachamama. How cool is that?
Love that.
Yeah. Oh, the medicine. She is great. She is strong. She is strong. So since we've called up Isis, let me go ahead and pull an Isis deck for you guys. Pull an Isis card, see what she wants to say today about maybe the victimhood. Are you suffering from victimitis? The victim is really interesting. And I always go back to the teaching of what is called that triangle of disempowerment. And this is an old, old teaching that goes back and has really been developed over time. And, we think about the victim, the triangle of disempowerment, where we have the victim on one side, the bully, and the rescuer, right? So if you are riding this triangle of disempowerment, on one side, chances are, not chances, 100%, you are all of those at one point in time in the relationship, and nobody is empowered.
Mhm.
So if
Mhm.
we start disengaging and we start recognizing our own victim, oh, blame and shame and all of that, you did it, it's my parents' fault, it's society, it's my, the government, all that is you feeling victimized.
Correct.
You're not a victim.
Yeah.
Miracles of Isis is a miracle. The miraculous healing of the goddess. And check this out. Look at this very strong picture of the masculine supporting, carrying the feminine. They're kind of like, he's kind of like pulling her out. Wow.
Wow.
That's a powerful card, you guys.
That's not a rescuer though, right?
Well, I think that it depends on what their mindset is. I'll save you now, I'll save you. Come jump on my back, like that could be, the rescuer, right? But if
Yeah.
it's like, sister, I got you, jump on, let's go,
Mhm.
and both people are feeling empowered. She does not look like a victim at all. Look at her
Mhm.
face. She looks
Mhm.
like, I'm here for the ride, yo. Thanks, bro. Thanks. I got you
I
too.
love his skin tone.
Yeah, he's all heart chakra, right? The green dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Emerald. Beautiful.
Yeah, and it's the miracle, miraculous healings. So, I believe in miracles. What do you think about miracles?
The fact that they abound, that they're happening everywhere, every day.
Every moment. I mean, let's just tap into right now thinking about, your heartbeat. That's a miracle.
Oh,
The fact that you can breathe, that's a miracle.
the fact that
You
there's new
are a
life coming
miracle.
up out there.
Hmm. Yeah, every moment is an opportunity to tap in. If you are awake in your life, there are miracles that happen all the time. We are miracle workers too, We are miracle workers. So Isis has another card. Um, and so, deep, deep. Ready? Before I pull this card up, I want you to really drop into your heart, because this is talking about our brothers in darkness, overcoming negative energy with feminine power.
Mm.
So, those of our brothers who are still a little nervous about this new paradigm, what's gonna happen to all of our old ways?
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. It's time to rise up. It's time to rise
Mm.
up and meet your higher self. So, right now, we're just gonna take a moment and do some prayers up, prayers up, prayers up for our brothers, prayers up for our brothers, prayers up for those of you who are walking in fear still, and fear that you're not good enough, fear that you aren't going to make this cut, whatever that cut is, into this new paradigm, that there may be no place for you in this new way. Prayers up for you that you may rise up, rise up, rise up, meet your higher self. Go, rise up, meet your higher self. May you live in such love and joy. Prayers up. Oh.
Oh. Mm.
Don't be scared of the feminine power. You got it too, y'all. You know, in each one of us, we carry the masculine and the feminine energy. So, you know, I think that I think that men have been given a raw deal in many cases, you know, not being able to feel their feelings. Oh, it's not manly to cry. Oh, it's not manly to step into, you know, whatever. You got to be brute strength and you got to blah, 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 you know.
Mhm.
Old
So that
paradigm.
you know that I have been deep diving into Dolores Duncan Cannon. I keep on
Yeah, yeah,
saying
yeah.
Duncan. One of the episodes that I was just reading about the other day was an incident where she was hypnotizing somebody, and suddenly the person who's being hypnotized, the voice changed and became very, very deep. And then what an archangel came through, and they said, we've been watching you guys do this work, and we've been, you know, seeing all the answers that's come and go. We have some questions of our own as archangels. And they're like, what questions would the archangels have? That is so interesting. Okay, all right, fly, let it go. And they said, you guys are so obsessed with your sex. What is that about? What, to us, it's almost as if you're driving down the highway in a red Chevrolet, and you think your skin is red and you have 4 black tires for legs as you go down, as opposed to identifying with the inside of the car. And they couldn't quite understand it. They just said, why is it so important what you are, male or female? And I thought,
Oh, not just the act of sex, but who you identify with as male or female sex.
yeah.
Oh, see, that's my little mind was going on. Like, they want to know why we think about sex all the time. Like, well, damn, I can talk about that.
No, so I mean, and there's all sorts of answers to that. The fact of the matter is, I mean, we are in these meat suits that are ruled by hormones. So yes, I totally, they don't get that.
And we want the
But
connection. But yeah, okay, so the angelic world is wondering why we're so caught up. And what is so interesting is, like, when I call in the archangels, and I've had this dialogue with them so many years ago, like so long ago, of like, because I see them as androgynous.
yeah,
You know, I've got this cool picture up here of Mikael, right, that I picked up in Peru. And I love it because he's wearing like a little pink, you know, fairy tutu,
tutu.
whatever. Yeah, yeah. And it's this really sweet feminine side.
Yeah,
But I always see them as um, energies,
yeah.
and not necessarily, you know, male or female, but as sort of a both. So yeah.
Yeah, so I have a deck here that has um, some archangels in them, and no, there's more
They're
gods,
all
but
masculine, and that just comes
they're
from, again, the old paradigm. I mean, who's drawing the
exactly.
pictures and who's, you know, who's telling the stories. But when we tap into the energy, it's neither male or female, and it is both.
Exactly. So, and why did we bring that up? Because it's once again, when we are spirit, we are not male or female, and so we are really kind of we're talking. We talked about this in the beginning. That card that said home, and
Oh
it's, you know, when we're tuning into home, you know,
yeah.
where
Hmm.
our source, you know, and we then what does it matter if we're male or female? And all the energies that we give to the masculine and all the energies that, you know, qualities that we give to the feminine, it's not really masculine or feminine, you know? These are just kind of like things that we
Archetypal
hold.
stories that continue to hold on. You know, we
Yeah.
really, really, in the trifecta that I was teaching all last year, was very much about what is happening in the feminine and what is happening in the masculine, both in the collective and then bringing it in to us and looking at the archetypal stories around, is it still true?
Yeah.
You know, is it still true that the feminine is X, Y, or Z? Is it still true that the masculine is X, Y, or Z? And how do we want to push through that? And what is it going to look like in this new paradigm? How can we harmonize our own masculine and feminine so that we can be in that balance? And I feel like that just really touched on so much in the way of really recognizing the stereotypes, recognizing how we're fed the stereotypes over and over through, you know, media, right?
Yeah.
Movies,
Yes.
songs. It's all perpetuated over and over and over and over again. And, you know, in that seam,
We are
hey,
all
I
of them.
love being feminine.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
really glad that I
Yeah, and
decided
there's
to
nothing wrong
incarnate
with
in
that.
this meat suit this time.
Yeah, I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. We're wearing a meat suit, and with this meat suit, I mean, to regulate all our functions, we are ruled by a lot of hormones, and you know, our bodies love to express in one way or another. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying that when it comes to the divine feminine and the divine masculine, I think that it's bit stereotypically that all these qualities exist in all of us. It doesn't have to be male or female, and it all in us, and we can just reach out, and it's there for us. And yeah, I think that's it.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. The other card that Isis has for us today, it says, be true and be in your power. Be true and be in your power. And it says, Osiris and Isis, Lord and Lady of the divine authority. So I think that that just really speaks to what we were talking about in that masculine and feminine, and be in your own power. Okay,
Yeah,
so what does that one say again?
I know that's the spirit self.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's the be who you are as you are, that authenticity. And um to me, there is it calls for an authenticity that goes beyond the meat suit again.
Yeah, what's your soul longing for? What is your spirit about? What is important, you know, in that way? Is it important that all of that comes up and out? Is it important that we're harmonizing who we are, our tenderness, and balancing? You know, if we go back to, instead of boy girl and masculine and feminine, if we look at some of those characteristics, what does that look like? You know, is like, we always think of the masculine energy as that doer, getting stuff done, right? Do, you know, moving and getting things accomplished. And we think about the feminine in that place of flow and allowing and receiving. So giving, receiving. I mean,
Receptivity.
it's got to
Yeah,
be in harmony. It's got to be in right
exactly.
relationship. Yeah, and
All
there,
right.
and
Set
I'll
it off.
speak to a lot of you, and I think know that this is going to strike a chord, and that is, how many of you are the givers, giving and 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 giving, and forgetting about you. And so I really want to challenge you to balance that out. It has to be an adequate exchange, right? Relationship of giving and receiving, or else you're giving from an empty cup, and an empty cup, meh, meh, not so much. So, those of you who
Put the
are
oxygen mask on yourself first.
really been, yes, put your mask on first. Exactly. Take care of yourself, please yourself, do you, take care of you, stay true to, what is important to you, and also be in that place of receiving. Ooh, big cards out. Hmm. So what are you open to receive? Something new. What's new for you that you're ready to receive, Mia? In this new
Hmm.
cauldron, what are you baking in your cake?
It's amazing. I feel like everything is up for grabs right now. I'm open to receiving a new model of how I want to operate, where I want to live, how I want to make a living, how I want to relate to Mother Earth. Maybe a big garden is not the way I want to relate to Mother Earth.
Lessons learned. Lessons learned from the homesteader. Small is okay.
I'm officially not a beekeeper anymore, so
Yeah,
that's
that's
already
gonna
a,
be really new for you.
yeah.
And all of the beauty that comes out of that. So did you sell your bee boxes and all of that?
I'm down to 5 bee boxes, and the rest is all gone. Um, in a freezer full of frames with honey and and pollen, which still have to find homes, but the rest of them are all gone. And but it literally felt like I had like a little rainbow with all these different colors, and I took the beekeeping out, and it was like a color that went away. And I thought, oh, that's so sad. I really love beekeeping so much. And then the other ones all became wider. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. I have now space for my
Ah,
other passions. There's more
ah,
time and energy now for those other passions. And it just fills in the space, like all these other things, like, oh yeah, more
yeah.
time
And
now.
so
So
how many of us need to? It's like I've been I've been cleaning and clearing and cleaning and clearing, and you know, really looking at the stuff in my life, the material things in my life,
mhm,
and
mhm.
clearing out. And it's like the more that we can clear out, rather it's bees or the stuff in our world, or old relationships that are falling away, whatever, is that we're making room on our plate for that which is for our highest good and is coming in this new way of being. So there's a card here that pops up, and it's from the granola wisdom deck, and it's nurture yourself. So I'm going to just read this, and I want you guys to just drop in, take a nice deep breath, because this one's kind of big. All right. And just hear it. Feed your heart and soul with the love that you deserve. It all begins with you. When you take good care of yourself first, the rest ripples out to those around you. Nurture yourself today. Begin to love yourself unconditionally. Remember, it all begins with you. Hmm.
Oh, yeah. No, that's
That's put
beautiful.
the mask on first, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember Bhante Dharmawara, the guy that Yoda is based on, who used to say that. Now I want to say it in a Yoda accent.
Oh, do it, do it, do it. I love your accents.
Basically, something like, you must take care of yourself first. if you and I cannot do
Just take care of
yoga speak.
you.
um, if you do not take care of yourself first and you get sick, you cannot take care of other people.
Oh, yeah, yeah, for sure.
So yeah.
I
Anyway.
think it's really important. So how do we do self-care? How do we nurture ourselves? And this is like an exercise. I've been putting together a little workbook of kind of like a self-help workbook for some of my clients that, when we're in for the long haul, it really helps to have little, like check marks and things to do, to help. And one of those things is to actually make a list, like bullet it out, of self-nurturing practices that you can go back and look at, because usually when we need them the most, right, to take care of ourselves the most, is when we're the really out of balance, and so we can't even tap into what it is that we need to do. So it's always great to make this list, and bullet it out to say, okay, I can go back to this list and look and just check off 3 things just today when I really need to go back in, and I'm feeling a little out of balance, or maybe I've gotten out of that that space of really self-nurturing. And so it would be great for you guys to just stop a little bit, today, this evening, whenever you get an opportunity, to sit down and make a little list of those things that are, important to you in your own personal self-nurturing. So what are some of those things? And I can just say right off the top of my head, in self-nurturing is going into nature, just taking a break, taking a walk, going into nature, talking to the trees, saying hello to the crows, just hanging out with the hummingbirds, whatever, being in nature is really one of those self-nurturing things for me. Also, the shaman's bath. So if you don't know what that is, shaman's bath is Epsom salt, baking soda, and I always like to add frankincense oil because that corresponds with protection. And I like to add a little lavender because that's going to be calming. For me, it's clary sage and balsam. That's grounding and also opening. So, whatever the oils are for you, that you would add, put on your body when you're in the bath. But though that's another, really go to for self nurturing. How about you, Mia? What are some of the self nurturing things that are your
Well,
go?
I was going to add, don't you put flowers to your bath? That's why I went and took flowers and put it on my head.
Flower baths? Absolutely.
Flower
The
bath.
love baths are insanely beautiful. The other thing too is like, and this came from my friend Cassandra Rose. Um, Shout out to Cassie. Yeah, the to add coconut milk. Get a can of coconut milk, good organic yummy coconut milk, and add it to your bath with your rose petals or with ever flowers. I mean, decadence, right? That's super yummy. I'm ready for
So
that.
for me, green smoothies are a big part of my nurturing.
Hmm.
And of course, the yoga, it's amazing how I find that if I haven't done my yoga, it feels like everything in my body just goes a little bit out of whack. But dancing is a big part of, just turning any nice dance music on and just letting it go. And it's really hard after, even 10 minutes of dancing to go back and not feel the shift.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was dancing in my kitchen last night, and I was like laughing at myself because I've had this little rib thing going on. And last night, as I was going all full buck wild in my kitchen, I felt this little click in my rib. And it was like, oh, did it go back into place? Because I had kind of like twisted a, anyway, story. But yeah, I was dancing and I was like, oh, heart chakra is so opening, right? It just
Yeah.
puts all things back in order.
And chanting, of course.
Good
You
one.
know, The chanting is, oh my goodness. It is like, if I want to be high, turn on the chants and just start chanting along. And I just
Uh-huh.
love that. And of course, nature, being in nature, but those are yours. So yeah, there's quite a
They're
few of them.
everybody's.
Yeah.
Those are great. Those are great techniques. And so we want to hear from you guys too. Like, what are some of the things that you are going to put on your self-nurturing list? Because, you know, the more that we can share those, the better. So want to hear from you and how you are nurturing yourself and taking good care of you during this process of rebirth and being in that little, you know, cauldron, the eye of the storm. It's really important to do that self-care as we are in the eye of the storm, and really thinking about how you wish to be on the other side of all of this as we move out of that, you know, as we're being birthed in a new way.
Mm.
How do you want to be, and are you going to be, you know, in balance, harmonized with your masculine and feminine? How can you do that? How can you harmonize that? Some of you may not have even thought in terms of how your masculine energy shows up or how your feminine energy shows up. And you
Mhm.
may be thinking in terms of that from the old paradigm and the old ways of being that, you know, we've gotten from the lineage that really don't work anymore. You know, my grandpa was thinking that women ought to be, you know, X, Y, or Z. Doesn't work anymore.
Yep. Yep.
My grandma is thinking that, you know, men are real assholes. You know, like, I don't know. You know,
I know a few female assholes too.
well, you know, and but my point is that, you know, we don't need to take, we can take the gifts from the lineage. We can take the gifts of all that they have given us, but we can leave all of those old stories and old belief systems about who we really, you know, like, be thinking forward and in this evolution of like, how do we really want to believe? You know, we want to believe that, you know, men and women are not assholes, that they're just loving beams of sweetness and vulnerability and tenderness, and yet can be, you know, courageous and brave and step in to this new way of being. So
Oh, yes. Okay. So the way we use our language. Okay. Are we almost up for time? You have a 1 o'clock appointment, I
I
know.
do have a one. So let's do a round of cards closing out. Like, what's the message that we're gonna leave you guys with today? And I'm feeling like there's something around finance that you guys need to know about. So maybe we have a finance card and a lover card. How about that? What's the finance
Sounds like a plan.
story?
I might
What's
have
the
to reach for
lover
some other
card?
cards.
Hmm?
I might have to reach for some new cards.
Okay. Finance is wanting to come from the Shaman's deck. So that's interesting. Finances. What's going on with your finances? Your finances and your relationships are in the same zone, right, of energy and how you relate. And it's really coming from your place of worthiness. Are you worthy of that amazing relationship? Are you worthy? And how do you perceive your value? And so it's really important to get to that place in the back of your heart to understand that you are valuable, that you are worthy. You're worthy of love. The rattle is coming up. Mm, the rattle. Shoo-boom. The rattle. So
What
when I think
energy is
about,
ready to be shaken up?
yep, that's exactly right. When I think about the rattle, when I'm using my rattle, I am shaking up the energy. I am moving the dense energy around, and I am also using it as a guide to say, archangels right here, boop, 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 here, this is where we want to be. This is what is happening. But mostly things need to be shaken up. What needs to be shaken up in your life? Shake it up. Ooh, ooh, ooh. There's some old stuff that you're still dealing with, is what I'm feeling. There's some old stuff that needs to be dealt with so that, wow, so that you can step fully in to your highest frequencies in relationship and in that finance place. Taming the
Okay.
wind. Wow. How do you tame the wind?
I don't think you do. I just have the strangest card here.
Yeah? What stranger than taming the wind?
I think so, yes.
Oh, I love it. Okay, what is it?
Harvest what a mother watches over me, and I'm seeing like a sheep in the back with a swollen udder and a very swollen belly, and then all the sheaves of grain in the front ready to be harvested. Um,
So can you read what the card
harvest
says again?
harvest mother watches over me.
So it feels
So
like
there's definitely a yeah.
it feels to me when we think about finance and we think about relationships is that we are, it's the ship is coming in, so to speak. We're harvesting. We
Yeah.
got a full udder. We've
Incredible
got, things are
fertility.
happening. And I
That
want to say
fertility.
taming the wind is like, this windfall, right? We're having a windfall. And so sometimes we can't tame the wind. Sometimes I know that, like, I was in ceremony a few weeks ago in Arizona, and oh my goodness, the wind was sweeping through this amazing property that we were on, and we were doing um, dance, actually, medicine dance, blindfolded journey outside, and the wind was just whipping, whipping, whipping. And my first instinct was to tame the wind, to ask the wind, hey, can you calm down a little? And I got mm-mm, these folks need a wind bath. We need to sweep all this stuff out. We need to get all that stuff, and the wind is just coming in. So we can think of that, the times that, shit is blowing our doors off, so to speak. But when, our question was really about finance and about um, finance and relationships. And so when we think about taming the wind, is like, okay, do we really want to do that? Do we really want to, I think of the windfall and the wind bringing in the gifts, and that wind that brings in the freshness
Rain.
and all of that. And how can we harness that? How can you be the windmill harnessing the energy so that it stays with you, and so that you can find your own inner taming of all of that and say yes to it, yes to the
Mhm.
windfall. So you got to shake some stuff up. The wind, as Mia's card suggests, but it's harvest time. It's time to call in that relationship. It's time to call in those finances, and the windfall will come. And it's really about how to, oh, yes. And I think that we tame the wind by allowing,
Yeah, yeah.
surrendering, take away all that
Um,
stuff that we've rattled up and said, like, pshoo, so that you can be fully present with it.
yeah, so you can easily you can either look at the wind as, oh, stop, it is, annoying, or see it as opportunity. And of course, go with that opportunities that it creates, because it always brings change. I mean, if the wind is blowing here, if it's hot, it's going to be cold tomorrow. If it's cold, it's going to be hot tomorrow. If it's dry, it's going to be wet tomorrow. It just brings opportunities and change. So go with it, go with the flow, and find that harvest the wind. Oh
Mm,
man.
I love it. I love it. I remember we had huge winds coming through San Diego a little bit, and I was so grateful for it because it felt like the air was so heavy, heavy
Yeah.
with fear, heavy with scarcity mentality. There's not going to be enough. Scarcity of
Yeah.
like, there's not going to be enough. I'm not enough, blah, 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 blah. And it just was so heavy in the collective. And all of a sudden, these winds came blowing through, and it just like took this heavy, heavy, dense energy out of the whole area. And all of a sudden you're seeing people out on bicycles again, you're seeing, people out. I live right next to the beach, and there's always on the bay, and there's always, like, well, there was a time where there wasn't fire pits happening. There was, a time where people weren't going and taking and doing their fires. And now all of a sudden, like the fires are back on the beach and people are out. And I mean, it was instantaneous that this wind came through
Wow.
and whoosh, out with the old. So,
And with a new.
yep, making room for the
Mm,
new. That
mm.
seems to be the whole, if I were to wrap up this whole Shaman's Tea today, I would say that it feels like all of the messages that are coming through is like we are in this holding pattern. We're in the eye of the storm, but this rebirth is happening all at the same time. And as you go in and do this interior work and really balance out your masculine, your feminine energies, that what is coming in this harvest is beauty. It's just pure beauty. It's really beautiful. And so hang in there. You have to have the courage to stand up for what you want and say yes. I mean, you can sit there and say you want finances and you want your financial flow, and you can sit there and say yes, I want the most amazing relationship, but you also have to have the courage to say yes to it when it comes. You have to have the courage to open your heart and not still come from your old blocked up, shenanigans that, keep you in that old way of being. It takes courage to do this work and to say yes out loud. And so, you know, you got it. You can do it. You can say yes. And all of those little small things that are in the back of your mind that say, maybe I can't do it. Maybe I'll just stay here in my little comfort zone. I'm just going to stay here in this old paradigm and put the covers over our heads and say, oh no, I can't do it. Maybe it's time to let that go. You can do it.
Oh,
Mhm.
and Bhante Dharmawara wanted to come in. This is the guy who he lived to a very high age, I think 100 and something. He was also called the monk of green light, and Yoda was based on him because he lived with George Lucas, and
No
he
freaking way.
believed.
I don't know anything about this. This is so great. I love it when I learn new things. Thank you.
So he was the guy who said colonics was a big thing for him, and a vegan lifestyle, and he healed himself at the age of 40 from cancer because he went into the woods and the forest and lived, and he said that the green light that was coming through the trees and the leaves was what healed him. And so he became the monk of green light, that he would put green lights on people and on animals that had anxiety. And he always said that you have to take care of yourself first, because if you don't take care of yourself and you get sick, you can't take care of nobody. And then you're out of the equation.
And then you're
And
done.
then you're useless to everybody
And
around
then you
you.
gotta come back and redo the whole freaking thing again. So you might as well just find it. Oh my gosh, I resonate so deeply with that. Had a little journey last night where I was going up, you know, up the tree and into my higher self and having a conversation with my higher self last night. And when I went into the corridor and opened the door to go and have my little conversation with my higher self, it was just green light. Just in the room was just nothing but this green light and all these roots and tree. It was like I just walked into the forest, and like that's my higher self. My higher self, I'm a tree. Which is funny
Right here,
because
right back at you.
because, like, well, next time, next time.
Oh, come on. You started it.
Next time we'll talk. Love you guys. Thank you for tuning in and turning on to the Shamans Tea. And the other thing that I wanted to bring up too is I'm going to do a recording this afternoon on my whole journey with Roadrunner. So, Roadrunner medicine, if you're interested in learning about Roadrunner medicine, and I'm going to do a little, I feel called, like, I don't, I'm not a really big, put myself out there. You couldn't tell because, what happens is the calling is bigger than my small self. So I've been really being pushed and pushed and pushed to share my Roadrunner story and um, seeing Roadrunner medicine and what all was happening. So if you're interested in that, find it on YouTube, subscribe. Subscribe to Mia. Oh wait, subscribe to Mia. It's all backwards.
Subscribe to
It's
Starr.
so interesting. Can we change that around? I'm gonna have to play around with settings and stuff so that I can not always be in the mirror mode. It's weird.
True.
Anyway, I'm
All
so
right.
grateful to you, Mia. Thank you for taking your time to be in your heart's peace with me today and share
Right
a cup of
back at you,
tea.
darling. And
It's
thanks for
always
your
so beautiful to share this time with you. And I really appreciate you so very much. Thanks for being my sis.
right back at you, sis.
Hmm.
Lift my spirits every time. All right, honey. Next week maybe.
Yeah, next week, tune in, turn on. Let's hear
It's
from
like
you guys. Thanks for all of
mm,
your messages, by the way, from last week. Um, and I promise we'll answer some of those questions maybe next week. I know I say it every week, but we will. Okay,
we'll
so
get
keep them
better.
coming. It's not that we're ignoring you. It's really just that these messages just really want to come through, and I feel like you get the answers in the channels of the questions that you have asked from the previous week. I feel like it's all divine, and it all is. So take the messages that resonate for you from this week. Leave the rest behind. Maybe ponder it a little bit and see. And we'll see you next week. Have a beautiful week. Wow. Go out and enjoy the magic.
Spread your light.
Share your light. Be the love. So much love.